Now, Chad Wolf, former acting Secretary of Homeland Security. You know a lot about this subject and protecting Americans, both foreign and domestic. I appreciate you being here. The investigation into what happened on Saturday in the assassination attempt, what does that look like specifically to uncover the answers that we need to prevent it from happening again?
Well, I think you've got a couple of different things going on. You've got the DHS Inspector General, who just announced that he's going to open up an investigation here. His office will open that investigation. You've heard President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas talk about an independent review, so they're going to have to square those two different investigations up. We don't need multiple investigations. You probably need one lead investigation to understand what went on, and then obviously you have more public congressional hearings probably taking place next week as well. So you've got a number of different fronts going on. But look, regardless of who it is, I think what they're going to take a look at is, did Secret Service follow the procedures that they have for protectees, in this case, former President Trump? And if they did, are those procedures, is that planning, is the resource allocation sufficient for the types of public profile and threat profile that the former president has? So a lot of those things will be looked at, the role of local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and how they partner with Secret Service to secure a venue like that rally. All these things will be taken a close look at.
The task is uncovering the answers and looking closely at how all of this happened, but couple that with calls for accountability. Does that accompany this investigation, looking at mistakes that were made, and what does accountability look like, Chad?
Well, I think it should. What you normally find those with these types of independent reviews, particularly from the IG and others, is they won't call for specific personnel recommendations. Congress certainly will, but it's really up to the president. It's up to the DHS secretary to say, were procedures simply not followed? Was it a case of incompetence? Was it a case of people just not doing their job? And if that is what went down, then who is accountable? I believe at this time, based on public reporting, that the accountability stops with the Secret Service director and what she knew and what she was able to authorize for the former president's security detail. So I think that's a big part. I think that's what Americans, they want to understand what went wrong. How could you allow something like this to happen? But then they also want to know who's accountable.
And can she withstand pressure to step down? And how does that impact morale within the Secret Service in such a tumultuous political time?
I think it's going to be very difficult for her to withstand that. I think at the end of the day, she will likely need to resign because, look, the buck stops with her. I think she was quoted as saying that recently. I'm not sure how she survives this. If your primary, particularly in the protection division of the service, is to protect your principal and someone shoots the president, you have failed in your mission. Regardless of how it happened, your job is to protect the president. And so I don't know how she withstands that type of scrutiny. And I think those calls are going to come certainly next week in public congressional hearings.
This investigation under the microscope, but at the same time, we've got to talk about the threat of copycats and other follow-up violence. How does the agency navigate a multifaceted threat?
Yeah, look, anytime that there's a public event, a public incident like the one that we saw last Saturday, the law enforcement is always concerned about copycats. They're always concerned about others emulating this, wanting to get their picture, wanting to get the fame, wanting to get the attention. So this is not unique, and law enforcement's prepared for this. I think this is something that they've got to keep their eye on. You're likely going to see, obviously, a different security posture around former President Trump and probably all the other former presidents that are out there. They'll take a look at the threat environment. They'll take a look at the intelligence they have, and they should have a security package that's commensurate with that. I think one thing that they need to look at is, did President Trump have enough resources? He's not like other former presidents. He's not like an 8-term president who then doesn't have a high public profile. He's in court. He's doing rallies. He's running for the presidency. And so with that comes a higher level of scrutiny and, unfortunately, a higher level of threats to his life.
Right. And the Secret Service and these agencies tasked with protecting the president and former presidents train for this. The public plays a key role as well. Yep. Chad, thanks for being with us as always. Your perspective greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.